Hello students, welcome back to the online classes with our next chapter, chapter 1, Nutrition in Plants. And this video is part 2 of chapter 1, Nutrition in Plants. So here, today we are going to cover the topics heterotrophs. In heterotrophs, we will study parasites, saprophytes, insectivores, symbiotic plants, and next topic, how are nutrients replenished in the soil. So let's start with our first topic, heterotrophs. Okay, we have studied already. There are two modes of nutrition. One is autotrophs and second is heterotrophs. So here we are going to study the second one, heterotrophs. Before heterotrophs, first we should let's revise what is autotrophs. Autotrophs means the green plants which are what? Autotrophs, which are able to prepare their own food, and that's why the plants which are able to prepare their own food is called autotroph. So who is able to prepare own food, like what? Plants. So other than plants, other organisms are what? Heterotrophs. So here that heterotrophs we are going to study in detail. So let's start. Animal and non-green plants like bacteria and fungi obtain their nutrition from other organisms as they cannot prepare their own food. That only we are going to discuss what? Those animals and those non-green plant, means ungreen plant, like what? Like bacteria and fungi, they obtain their nutrition from other organisms, means those organisms which cannot prepare their own food and obtain the important nutrition from other organisms. Why? Because they are taking from other organisms because they cannot prepare their own food, and that's why those organisms which cannot prepare their own food and take the important nutrients from the other organism, that's why those organisms are called heterotrophs. So this mode of nutrition is known as heterotrophic nutrition. Means which type of nutrition? The heterotrophic nutrition means the mode of nutrition. This mode of nutrition is what called heterotrophic nutrition. Why heterotrophic? Because those organisms which not able to prepare their own food and take the nutrition from other organisms, that's why this type of process of nutrition is called heterotrophic nutrition. Now we will discuss heterotrophic plants. Autotrophic plants we know, like green plants, but heterotrophic plants are also there. So let's see. According to the modes of nutrition, heterotrophic plants can be classified as, means according to the process of nutrition, taking nutrition, heterotrophic plants are also having some types. Let's see. First is parasites. Now what are parasites? See, organisms which depend on other organisms, which depend on others or organisms for food and shelter are called parasites. Means those organisms for food and for the nutrients depends on others or other organisms which provide food and shelter also. So those type of organisms are called parasites. Means the organisms which take food from others as well as shelter also. So this type of organisms are called parasites. The organisms which provides food and shelter to a parasite is called host. See, there we are talking about what? Two organisms. One organism is taking the food from the another one, and another organism is giving food to the other one. So there is a exchange between two. One is taking and one is giving. So the one who is giving the food and nutrient to the other one, so the giving one will be what called? Here it will be called as host. Means the organisms which provide food, means the organism which is providing food and shelter to a parasite, means the needy organism. So that organism, the giving one organism, will be called as host. Means it is working as a host, providing food and shelter to the parasite organism. I hope it is clear what is host. Host means that organism called as host which provide food and shelter to the parasite organism. So the parasite grows on or inside the body of the host. Means the parasite the parasite can be grown on the host or inside the body of the host and derive its nutrition from the host. And the parasite which needs nutrients, so this nutrition is derived from the host, means that nutrition it takes from the host. Okay, so let's see. For example, Cascata and Dodder amable, means Cascata is called as Dodder and amable also. So this plant is parasitic on a wide variety of plants, means there are a wide variety of parasitic plants including potato, chrysanthemum, dahlia and petunia. It has root-like structures that suck food from host plant. This type of plants have root-like structure. You can see in this picture. This root-like structure. These roots what? Absorb nutrients. Absorb what? Suck food from the host plant. Means these roots take the nutrients and take the food from the other host plant, from the other organism which is host, and these roots sucks the important nutrients from the host one plant and pass to the its whole body. So this is how the parasitic plants works on and depends on the host. You can see this is what? This is Dodder plant, Cascata plant, and here these leaves are binding on that. So means these leaves are also taking the nutrient from that other plant. So this is what? This is a picture of the parasite Cascata plant. And this is another picture. This is partial parasite, and this plant is mistletoe. So what? This is also, this is one plant, and here one other plant like this leaves like you can see. This is taking what? Nutrient from this other plant. So this is how what? The parasitic plants depend on the host plant for their foods and nutrient. So that's why those organisms, those plants which take the food and nutrient from the other plant, those type of plants are called as parasites, and those provide food and shelter to the parasites, so those plants are called host. So don't get confused in parasites and host. Parasites are the taking one and host are the giving one. This is also the picture of the Cascata Dodder plant. So organisms which depend on the host organisms only for some nutrients, means those organisms which depend on the host, means those the giving one plant depend only for some part of nutrients. So this type of organisms are called partial parasites. Partial parasites means half parasite, means they depending on the host for what? For nutrient, but not totally depend, means for some part of nutrients only they depend on the host organism. That's why the organism which depend only for some nutrients on the depends on the host, that's why those organisms are called partial parasites. For example, mistletoe grows on a variety of trees like mango and eucalyptus. Means a mistletoe it is a plant, small leaf like plant, and it usually grows on a different trees like what? Mango and eucalyptus, and this mistletoe plant takes some nutrients from those trees, and that's why this mistletoe is called as partial parasites. As we can see here in this picture, let's zoom. So in this picture you can see this small green plant, and it is what? It is it is living on this branch of that tree. So what? This part of this plant are depend on only for some nutrients on that tree. That's why this type of plant which depend only for some part of nutrient, that's why this plant are called parasites. They are not totally depend on the tree, means they are able to prepare their food, but for some nutrient they are depend on the tree. That's why this type of plant are called partial parasites, and this plant's name is mistletoe, and it is depend on that tree. So that's why This is what called, it is called partial parasites. So, it bears evergreen leaves that can carry out photosynthesis on their own. Means the partial parasites are having what? Green leaves are having, and green leaves are what? Able to do photosynthesis process. Means they are able to carry out the photosynthesis on their own. Means they are not depend on others for photosynthesis. These green leaves can prepare their own food, and it relies on the host mainly for minerals and water. Means for what they depend on the host? Means for other trees, why they are depend? Only for the minerals and water. They are what? Nutrient. So for the minerals and water only they are depending. That's why this mistletoe plant is called partial parasites, because it is not totally depend on host, only for minerals and water it is depends. That's why this is called as partial parasites. Okay. This is the plant of eucalyptus. Sometimes that mistletoe type plant depends on this type of trees and get the minerals and water from those trees, and that's why that organism is what called partial parasites. This is only that partial parasites. Here you can see that part, mistletoe plant. Here it is present here, and depending for water and minerals on that branch of that tree, and that's why this is what called as partial parasites. Now second one, heterotrophic plants we are going to discuss. The second one is saprophytes. Now what are saprophytes? Organisms which grow on and derive nourishment from dead and decaying organic matter are called saprophytes. Means those organisms which grow on and derive nourishment from dead and decaying organic matter. Means, see, there is a difference in parasites and saprophytes. Parasites were depend on the living organisms, okay, but saprophytes depends and take the nutrients and nourishment from the dead and decayed organic matter. Decayed means the decomposed and decayed organic matter, and those organisms are called saprophytes or saprotrophs. Means saprophytes is more called as saprotrophs. So don't get confused. At the place of saprophytes, saprotrophs also could be asked. So you don't get confused. So those organisms which depend on dead and decaying organic matter, dead and decaying organisms. So this type of plant, this type of organisms which depend on dead and decaying organisms. So this type of organisms what called saprotrophs and saprophytes. This mode of nutrition is known as saprotrophic nutrition, and that process of taking nutrient, that process is called as saprophytic nutrition. Some non-green plants like snow orchid, Indian pipe, fungi like mushrooms and bacteria are saprophytes. See, those bacteria, those organisms what depend on dead and decaying organisms, and those that's why mushrooms, Indian pipe, fungi and bacteria are called saprophytes. As we know, mostly time bacteria are present on the dead and decaying organisms, dead organisms. So that's why because they take nutrients from the dead body part of the organisms, and that's why those type of organisms are called saprophytes. They secrete digestive juices to convert the solid dead and decaying matter into the liquid and derive their nutrients from it. Means the bacteria and those saprophytes plants make what? Take the digestive juices to convert the solid dead decaying matter into liquid. Means the nutrients present in the solid body of dead and decaying matter, so these nutrients they convert into the liquid which is digestive juices. They take this digestive juices from their body and derive the main nutrients from that dead body part. As we can see, this is what mushroom picture, and this is Indian pipe plant picture. Okay, they are what? Saprophyte. They take the nutrients from the dead and decaying organic plants, other organisms, dead and decaying organisms. This dead and decaying organisms, they take the nutrients from those dead body parts, and that's why this type of plants are called saprophytic plants. Okay, so we have discussed right now two. One is parasites, second is saprophytes. Parasites are depend on the living organisms for food and nutrients, and saprophytes depends on the dead and decaying organisms for the food and nutrients. Now third one is insectivores. What are the function of insectivorous plants? We'll discuss it. The organisms which consume insects as a part of their regular diet are called insectivorous. See, those organisms which consume insects means which takes insects, which eat insects as a part of their regular diet, means as a part, this is the taking and consuming of insects is a regular, means it's a daily life part of this type of plants, and that's why this type of plants are called insectivorous. By the word insectivorous we can understand that the insect means there is a main role of what? Insect, means those plants what takes, they consume insects, and that's why the organisms which consume insects as a part of their diet, so this type of organisms are called insectivorous. Insectivorous plants and animals have special body parts that help them catch insects. See, what is the main important line you can see here? Insectivorous plants and animals have special body parts. Always we have seen that those organisms which consumes other organisms, insects and all, so this type of organisms, means whether it is plant and animals, they have a special type of body. They have special body parts, and these special body parts help them to catch that insects, prey that other animals. So these special body parts help them catch insect, means this type of special body parts help these organisms to catch the insects easily, to track the insect easily. So that pitcher plant, so these are the example: pitcher plant, bladderwort, Venus flytrap and sundew are some insectivorous plants. These are insectivorous plants. They have special type of body structure which help them to get the insects easily. With specialized structures for catching insects, means those organisms which depend on other insects, and the insects are the part of the regular diet, so those type of organisms and plants are called insectivorous. For example, in pitcher plant, the leaf in the shape of a pitcher. See, pitcher plant, the word here pitcher. The pitcher means, pitcher means like a jug. Okay, water jug we have seen now, water jug, and it is present. It is usually, it is there in everyone's homes. Okay, so the pitcher plant, the shape of a leaf in pitcher plant, the leaf in the shape of a pitcher, means the leaf is in shape of a like a jug, like water jug, and the apex of the leaf forms a lid for it. Apex means the top part of the leaf forms a lid for it, like means form a cover for it. You can see the picture. This is what? This is a pitcher plant. Okay, and this is the leaf of the pitcher plant. So you can see this leaf is like what? Water jug. Its shape is like what? Water jug. You know, means it is open from the top part, and this is like what? A jug. And this leaf at the top, at the apex, means at the top, it forms a lid. Lid means like a cover, means like jug having a cover na, from the top we can put off, and then we can open and we can close. So that lid is forming open and close for this pitcher plant. So in pitcher plant, the leaf in the shape of a pitcher and the apex of the leaf, means the top of the leaf, forms a lid for it, means opening and closing for the leaf. Inside the pitcher there are hairs which are in downward direction. You can see this pitcher plant. Inside this pitcher plant, what are there inside it? Inside this hair like structure, these small hairs are there, and it is downward side, means as the insects will stuck inside it. You can see this. See, This is pitcher plant only, and that insect has got stuck. It is inside that pitcher. So that inside the pitcher plant is what there hair-like structures are there, and this is a downward side. Means as the insect will fallen down this pitcher plant, that downward side hairs will catch it and will trap it. It will not let it go outside. The insect will not be able to come outside, and this is how it died inside this pitcher plant. And this is the pitcher. This is how the pitcher plant take the nutrients from these other insects. So inside the pitcher there are hair which are in downward direction. When an insect sits on the leaf, it slips inside and gets trapped in the hair while the lid closes. Means as the insect sits on the leaf, it sleeps inside and gets trapped by the hair present inside this pitcher plant, and while the lid closes. Means after that what happens, the leaf present at the top, it gets closes, and the that insect is not able to come out. So this is how the insectivorous plants are depend on those insects. So those organisms which consume insects as a part of the regular diet, so those type of organisms are what called insectivorous plants. Insectivorous plants are green plants which are capable of photosynthesis. See here, insectivorous plants, saprophytes, these plants are also green plants. So means they are capable of photosynthesis. Means photosynthesis process they can do, but derive most or some nutrients from insects. See, photosynthesis process not provide all the nutrients which for important for the plant. So for the nutrients, the plants use different functions so that they can get the nutrients. So that is why the other than photosynthesis, they derive most or some nutrients from insects. They usually grow in places where the soil is poor in nutrients. See, the soil which is good in nutrients, so those type of plants will not be need for the to get the insects and to get the dead plants and all. But usually this type of plants found at those places where the soil is poor in nutrients, especially nitrogen. Especially nitrogen is present very less in the soil. So there is a bacteria, nitrogen fixing bacteria, which helps to give the nitrogen to the soil and then to the plants. So I hope it is clear to you, okay, how this is the pitcher plant, and it is working as what, to attract the insect. This is also a insectivorous plant, and as you can see the leaf of that part in this way, as the insect will go to this leaf part, it will get stuck and it will be inside only, and this is how this type of insectivorous plants catch the insects. Okay, now fourth category of the heterotrophic plants are last one, symbiotic plants. Now how symbiotic plants work? Till now we have discussed three. Okay, first is parasites. Okay, parasites depends on living organisms. Then second is saprophytes. Saprophytes depend on the dead and decaying organisms. Then third, insectivorous plants. Insectivorous plants depend on the insects. Okay, then last is symbiotic plants. So the interaction between two different organisms which live close physically and benefit from each other is called symbiosis. See, symbiotic plants means there is the interaction between the two different organisms, means there is the exchange between the two different organisms, the interaction between two different organisms, and these two different organisms live close, means they live near to each other, they live close physically, means they live very close physically, and they provide and they benefit from each other, means they gives benefit to each other, means one is taking the benefit from the other and the other one is taking benefit from the first one. So they benefit each other, and that's why it is called symbiosis. Means there is a relation between these two organisms, and they are doing exchanging, they benefit each other. That's why this type of two organisms which are having interaction and which are having relation of benefit to each other, so that's why this type of plants are called symbiosis or symbiotic plants. A symbiotic relationship is a mutually beneficial relationship. See, a symbiotic relationship is a mutually means it is from both the sides, and it is beneficial relationship means both are getting the benefits, getting the profit from each other. That's why this is what called mutually beneficial relationship. What? Symbiotic plants. For example, lichens are composite organisms. Lichens, this is a organism plant. It is also plant. So they are composite organisms. They have one fungal partner and one algal partner. See, lichens are the formation of two organisms. One fungal partner and one is algal partner. One fungal partner giving benefit to algal partner and algal partner giving benefit to fungal partner. So this is how they form a mutual relationship. Algae are autotrophs. Let me clear you. Algae are what? Algae are autotroph. Algae you may have seen at many places, the green, very small, green. Sometimes it is automatically to develop some places at wet places and moisture places. So algae are autotroph. They can do photosynthesis, but they synthesize organic food for themselves. See, they prepare organic food for themselves and also provide to the fungal partner. Means algae can prepare their own food for themselves. For food they are not depend on the fungal partner. Algae can prepare their food and also providing this food to the fungal partner. Means algae fungal partner is depending for the food on algae partner, because algae partner is able to prepare the food for themselves and then provide to the fungal partner. Fungi are saprophytes. See, fungi are what? Saprophytes. Why saprophytes? Because fungi cannot prepare their own food. See, algae can prepare own food and giving to the fungi, but fungi are not able to prepare own food. That's why they are called saprophytes. They are capable of absorbing water and minerals from the material they are growing on. Means fungal are capable of what? Absorbing water and minerals from the material. Means from on that material where they are growing on. Means like what? Algae is what? Algae able to prepare own food. So algae is providing food to the fungi, and fungi are able to take water and mineral from the material, means from where they grow. Means like suppose they are growing on the tree. So from the tree, fungi are able to take water and minerals, and for the nutrients, other nutrients at whom they are depend on algae they depends. They supply their algal partner with water and minerals. Now see, algae partner are what? Providing food to the fungi partner. Fungi partners are able to take the water and minerals from where they grow. So fungi partners are providing what? Algae partner what they are giving? Fungi partner is giving water and minerals to the algae partner, and algae partner are giving what? Food to the fungi partner. So fungi also provide shelter to the algae partner, as well as fungi providing shelter to the algae partner, means providing the place to live to the for the what? For algae. See, this is what? Here these are algae. You can see small that greenish what? Algae, and this is what? Fungi. So this fungi is providing shelter to the algae partner. Algae partner provide what? Food to the fungi, and fungi is providing what? Water and minerals to the algae. So this is how they create a relationship, mutually relationship. They live close physically, as we can see in this picture. They live close physically. They provide benefit to each other. So that's why this type of two organisms having this type of mutual relationship called symbiotic relationship or symbiotic plants. I hope it is clear to you. Why they are symbiotic? Because they both are providing food and nutrients to each other. This is algae, this is what? Fungi. Algae providing food and fungi providing water and minerals and shelter. This is how they create a relationship. What? Symbiotic relationship. That more one picture of that only. At downward side algae is there, and this is what? Fungi. Now another example is rhizobium legume symbiosis. See, that was the one example. One more another example, that is for rhizobium legume symbiosis. Now what is this? See, rhizobium is a bacterium. Rhizobium is a bacteria which is capable of fixing atmospheric nitrogen to a form which can be readily used by plants. As we know the function of rhizobium bacteria, rhizobium is a bacteria, and this bacteria working is what? Fixing of the atmospheric nitrogen to a form. In that form it prepare that atmospheric nitrogen so that plants can easily used by through the soil. Okay, that is the what function of the rhizobium bacteria. So it lives in the roots of leguminous plant. That bacteria, where it lives in the roots of the leguminous plant such as peas. Like what? Peas in the roots of the peas. Which type of bacteria usually found? Rhizobium bacteria. And this bacteria provides them with nitrogen. See, for plants nitrogen is also very important, but nitrogen plants cannot get from the photosynthesis. So for nitrogen they depend on what? They depend on rhizobium bacteria, and the rhizobium bacteria taking and fixing the atmospheric nitrogen from the atmosphere. They take nitrogen and then make in that form and gives in the soil, so that through the soil this nitrogen enters into the plants. So this is how, that is why the bacteria is usually present in the leguminous plants like what? Peas, and giving and provides the nitrogen. Legumes provide food and shelter to rhizobium return, and these leguminous plants are providing what? Food and shelter to rhizobium bacteria. See, bacteria's leaves also shelter to give nitrogen to others. So to which type of plants? This type of leguminous plants are providing shelter to the rhizobium bacteria, and the rhizobium bacteria is giving in exchange what it is giving in return? The nitrogen. See, there is also a symbiotic relationship. The leguminous plants giving food and shelter to the rhizobium bacteria, and in return rhizobium bacteria give what? Nitrogen to the leguminous plant. So there is also a mutual relationship between and benefit each other. That's why this is also example of symbiotic relationship. Okay, so next topic, our last topic of that chapter, how are nutrients replenished in the soil? Means how once the nutrients gets over into the soil, gets over, so again how replenish? Means refill. Means how again nutrients refill in the soil. Means soil cannot again and again prepare the nutrients by itself, without the help of any other organism. So once the nutrients used by the plants from the soil, again how it replenish in the soil. This we will study in detail. So plants absorb minerals, nutrients from the soil. As we know, the plants absorb what? Minerals, nutrients from the soil, and therefore the amount of minerals in the soil keeps on declining. Means that is because as the plants continuously absorbing the minerals and nutrients from the soil, that's why the amount of minerals in the soil keeps on declining. Declining means keeps on decreasing. Means the plants will take the soil from the they will take the minerals from the soil. So what will happen? The amount of minerals will be decreasing. Declining means decreasing and over. So these nutrients need to be added back to the soil. So what we need something so that again we can add the nutrients to the soil to enrich it. Means to make it the soil with the nutrient, we need something, we need to add it back to the nutrients to the soil. So how it happens? How we can give nutrients to the soil? So who does this work? So this work is done by decomposers. Decomposers play an important role in replenishing the soil with the nutrient. So decomposers have a very important role to replenish the soil with the nutrient. Means to refill the soil with the nutrients. Who does this work? Who play an important role for giving the nutrients to the soil to the back? Decomposers. Okay. Decomposers like bacteria and fungi release enzymes. So see, decomposers are what? Decomposers are bacteria. Okay, like bacteria and fungi, and they release enzymes. They release enzymes on what? On dead plants and animals waste. Means they release enzymes on dead body, means on dead plant, whether animal or plant or animal waste. These decomposers, bacteria and fungi, release enzymes, and these enzymes release nutrients trapped in the dead bodies and waste matter. And these enzymes what? Takes the nutrients which is trapped in the dead bodies and the waste matter. These enzymes take the nutrients from the dead bodies and then return them to the soil, and then these enzymes give back those nutrients which was present in the dead bodies. So enzymes take the nutrients from the dead bodies and give back to the soil. Usually crops require a lot of nitrogen to make proteins. And what? Crops require a lot of nitrogen to make proteins. To prepare proteins, crops require what? Nitrogen. And this nitrogen, how it gets? By the bacteria. And which bacteria? Rhizobium bacteria. And rhizobium bacteria takes the nitrogen from with the help of decomposers and those enzymes. After harvest, the soil becomes deficient in nitrogen. See, rhizobium bacteria is giving what? Nitrogen to the soil. So once the soil is taken out, once the crops are what? Taken out after the harvest. After means the removing of crops. So once the crops are removed after harvest, what? The soil becomes deficient in nitrogen, means the nitrogen amount become very less in the soil. So farmers need to add manures and fertilizers to replenish the lost nutrients. And we know that for a good growth and for to get nutrients to the plants, what farmers use? Farmers add manure and fertilizers to replenish the lost nutrients. Means to give the nutrients back to the soil, farmers also use what? Fertilizers and manure. This fertilizers and manure give the lost nutrients back to the soil. And addition of fertilizers enrich the soil with nitrogen, potassium and phosphorus. So fertilizers not only giving nitrogen to the soil, they are giving all the important chemicals what it require, like nitrogen, potassium and phosphorus, which are important for the soil. So this is how what? Soil get replenished with this nutrients. Another way of adding nutrients back to the soil is growing leguminous crops. See, one way what? Giving the one way is decomposers, giving all the nitrogen to the soil from dead organic matter. Second was fertilizers and manure. So one more way of adding nutrients back to the soil is what? The growing of leguminous crops. Why leguminous crop? Because leguminous crops, which type of relationship? Symbiotic relationship. So the symbiotic relationship between the legumes and nitrogen fixing bacteria like rhizobium is very beneficial for farmers. Why very beneficial for farmers? Because the leguminous plants, the bacteria present, which bacteria? Nitrogen fixing bacteria present on leguminous plants. So this bacteria will give back all the nitrogens to the soil, and it is that rhizobium bacteria is very beneficial for farmers as it helps replenish nutrients in the soil, especially nitrogen. Means that leguminous plants, which is that bacteria which is present on leguminous plants, which bacteria? Rhizobium bacteria. So rhizobium bacteria helps to give the nitrogen to the soil, which is very beneficial for the farmers. So that's why this is one more way to give nutrients back to the soil by the growing of leguminous crops. So this is how, and these are the ways to give the nutrients back to the soil, which is important for the plant. Okay. So this is now chapter is over. Thank you, children.